Joining me now, New York Congressman Anthony Weiner. Congressman Weiner, I want you to listen to something that the Progressive Change Campaign Committee put out today, their statement about the president's budget, saying, and about what he said in the press conference today. They say, quote, "It is unacceptable for this president to continually suck up to Wall Street banks who caused the current economic mess, legitimize the cutting of benefits earned by workers, and pretend like Republican proposals to cut Medicare and Democratic proposals to end tax cuts for the wealthy are equally legitimate proposals. They are not. Americans did not elect a Democratic president to act like Ronald Reagan or enact a corporate agenda." Congressman Weiner, did President Obama sound like Ronald Reagan to you today in that press conference?
No, I think that goes too far. But I have to tell you, I have a website, DemocratsWhoFight.com, which are Democrats who really think we should be more combative. And they are genuinely concerned about some things in the president's budget. Look, you don't get very much savings by slashing heating assistance for poor seniors by 50%. But I think it's an effort by the president to say to both sides, look, I'm trying to get something done here and be reasonable. In stark contrast to the Republican budget, which is just really off the wall, dramatic cuts in air traffic controllers, elimination of the police hiring program, which goes to all 50 states and every congressional district. I think the posture that the president is trying to strike going into these negotiations is that I'm trying to be an adult, trying to have a responsible budget. But there's no doubt about it. A lot of us are very concerned about what comes next. You alluded to the comment today about Social Security, and you're exactly right. Social Security it reduces the net appearance of deficit because it has such a large surplus. That's the big question going forward. He can't give an answer on Social Security because that's a legitimate Democratic priority and something that doesn't add a single dime to the deficit.
Congressman Weiner, let's listen to something that John Boehner said today about cutting spending.
Over the last 2 years since President Obama has taken office, the federal government has added 200,000 new federal jobs. If some of those jobs are lost in this, so be it. We're broke. It's time for us to get serious about how we're spending the nation's money.
Congressman, you just heard the Speaker of the House say about 200,000 jobs. If they're lost, so be it. In an economy like this, where we have not had a jobs recovery yet, 200,000 jobs is something the Speaker of the House isn't worried about if you lose them.
Well, frankly, I think, John Boehner and the Republican Congress, so be it, is going to be their mantra. They're even talking about shutting down the government in the middle of a war. I mean, what kind of a message do you think that sends to the troops at the front, that they're prepared to shut down government on the altar of some ideological thing? The fact is, the Republicans, frankly, don't quite know how to govern this country. We see it with this budget. We just had a vote just now to shave $15 million off the defense budget. A majority of Democrats said that's reasonable. The Republicans couldn't even agree to do that. They don't quite know how to govern in a reasonable and responsible way, which ultimately is what makes the president's approach seem so rational and adult. But when they say we don't care about whether jobs are lost, they mean it. They don't care.
Congressman Weiner, let's go back to first principles. How did it come to be that we're talking about cutting spending now? Why are we cutting any spending as long as we still are in an economy that has not recovered jobs? Why shouldn't we be waiting until 2014? Why cut any spending now before we've gotten the unemployed back to work?
Well, look, I do believe that there's spending in the federal budget that isn't stimulative and that is wasteful, and we should always be looking for ways to reduce waste in government. But the fact is, the single greatest tool that we have to get us out of this recession and also to reduce our deficit and debts is to get people back working again. The thing that has led to the drag on the federal budget is that fewer people working, meaning fewer people paying taxes, meaning more people getting government services. If we can get those people back to work, that's the single best thing we can do to reduce the deficit and the long-term debt. But that doesn't mean that progressives and everyone shouldn't be looking at the budget to try to find waste. And I think the president has gone too far. When I want to get back to this, to cut by 50% energy assistance for senior citizens, I don't know who we think that that's going to save. It's $2.5 billion in a $3.7 trillion budget. Do we really think that that's going to reduce the deficit?
Well, that's what comes when you try to meet Republicans halfway on spending cuts. You end up starting way too far down the road. Congressman Anthony Weiner, Democrat of New York, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.